Hello, welcome to Liz Rocks and Stuff. I'm Liz. Let's see what's going on in my tumblers this week. We're going to start off with that small barrel of agates. We're going to get this rinsed off. Now, this did something weird this time, and I haven't seen this before, but let's see. So first off, we open this up. The slurry looks a little bit thick. It should be fine. It just looks a little thicker than I normally would want, but when I wash off the lid, you'll see what I'm talking about, something that's really weird. So there's that very satisfying rinse of those rocks. You see all those colors pop out, and then when I go to rinse the lid, there's brown sludge underneath the gray. And I don't know what that is. It's not something I've seen before, and I don't know what happened, if there's a rock in here that was just particularly dirty. My first thought was, oh, there must be a rock in here that's soft and got kind of pummeled and turned into this brown mud, sort of. It's not gritty. It's actually very slimy feeling. And it's in a lot of the crevices and cracks of these other rocks. So that's why I'm doing an extra thorough rinse here, because it's all over these rocks. But I checked that one light brown rock that's in there because that was my first suspicion. But it doesn't feel soft. It doesn't feel like it would have thrown all this nastiness around. So I'm not sure. That's the one I thought might have done it, but I don't know where that came from. Maybe one of these rocks just had something dirty. I looked back at the old footage and I didn't see anything. But yeah, it's in a lot of these cracks and crevices of these rocks. So I'm not worried about that because these rocks aren't going to be allowed to dry out where that would become a problem. And I'm also going to tumble these until they're smooth anyway. So any of those cracks that currently have that sludge in them would be smooth and the sludge would be gone. So I'm not worried about it, but you can kind of see it's in that little crevice. But that rock also has a quartz pocket in it. So that's going to be a difficult to clean anyway. I have some plans for that. I'm going to try using a water pick to, basically shoot a jet of water into that to clean it out. And I'll need to do that between all of the cycles just to make sure there's no leftover grit in those pockets around those crystals to catch and basically turn into cement. So these are looking pretty good. I did pull a few of them out. Most of these small ones are okay. I've actually decided I was initially not keeping any of these little chips, but I have decided I'm going to keep them now. I have some plans for them. So this is me trying to figure out that barrel is not very full, so what do I want to put in it? I'm not going to tumble that piece of mortierite and quartz. I'm going to keep it as is. But I do have some more moss agates and some of this Mexican lace agate that I'm going to use to top up this barrel a bit. And then put in my water and my stage 1 grit. And then these will be good to go for another week. But I am happy with the progress. I'm curious to see if it's going to get that brown sludge again. I haven't seen that before, so I'm not sure where that came from, but we'll see if it shows up again. And try and figure out where it's coming from if I do see it again. But I think it was just sort of something dirty. I don't know. It was weird that it was in layers. Like it was a layer of that brown sludge on everything and then really thick slurry on top of that. That is what kind of looked a little odd to me. So we'll see if these do better. So I'm relabeling this because for whatever reason, this barrel, the writing gets worn off of it where it doesn't do the same on my other barrels. And I'm not sure why that is, but anyway. Moving on to the amber. Amber, kind of still plugging along, not really doing much. We are looking exactly the same. So there's that same looking slurry. It's a little bit on the thicker side, but not too bad. And the rocks are still coming along, but I'm going to do what I mentioned last week. These are going to, I'm going to let them tumble for 2 weeks. Give them a better chance to use up all of the grit that's in there. So I'm going to just leave these and I'm not going to check on them for 2 weeks. And at that point, because I'm getting kind of tired of this amber, to be honest, if they haven't done anything, then I think I'm just going to take a grinder to them and just get that outer casing off and then just do a regular tumble with them to get them smoothed over and try to get them shiny. Because I'm ready to move on from the amber. just to see if I can get it a little shiny. I know amber's pretty soft, but we're gonna move on. So I'm not really, that barrel's kind of empty, but I'm just gonna leave it as is. And like I said, just tumble these for 2 weeks, and then if they don't get anywhere in 2 weeks, then I'll just take a grinder to them and get that hard crust off, and then do a regular tumble, probably starting in stage 2. I might do like a couple of days in stage 1 just to try and smooth out any sharp edges from the grinding, but that I think is what my plan is going to be going forward with that. So the last one is this miscellaneous. This started out as smoky quartz, then I added an amber or amethyst, and now it's a lot of other stuff. So that's a good looking slurry right there. It's doing really well. Also, I did mention this with the agates, but I held on to the agates for a few days, and now all of the agates, all of my barrels are tumbling on the same schedule now. So they all get checked on the same day instead of having to do multiple days. But so this is agates and some other miscellaneous stones, along with some smoky quartz and amethyst, and that's the dumortierite in quartz. I might not tumble this too much longer. I feel like it's just disintegrating. That is just an agate. I'm not sure what kind of agate it's from. And then we have amethyst, and I'm just checking these over. These aren't looking too bad, but they're just, some of them just have some surface cracks that I'd just rather smooth out. I might break some of these amethysts because they do seem to have some pretty deep cracks, and those aren't going to tumble out. So the best thing to do when you have deeper cracks is to just break it along the crack and let it, then tumble it as 2 different pieces. So I'm pulling out, that's the sort of tumbling rock that I have that's just not anything special, but I use it to take up space in my barrels. So I'm kind of pulling that out just so I can get to the rocks I actually do care about, but I'm going to put it all back in because I use it to fill up space and not have to go through my tumbling media as quickly. So now we're going to put all of that in there, and then it's still not quite as full as I would like. So I'm going to, I think I put more rocks in on top of that. So I put water in, and then just wasn't as full as I like. So I'm going to put some more rocks in there, some of the smaller ones. It didn't need too much chopping up, but just a little bit. And then those are going to go on the tumbler for a week, as per usual. Putting in 4 tablespoons of grit, and then closing it up. And so, yeah, I will be checking on these rocks and the agates next week, and letting the amber go for another week just to give it a little bit more time to tumble off. But I am getting tired of the amber. I want to tumble some other stuff. So this will be moving on. I almost have enough, I feel like, for a stage 2, but I just need a few more rocks, and then we can do a stage 2 run with the agates and quartz. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.